Hello, my name is Marina Mayer, Editor-in-Chief of Food Logistics and Supply and Demand Chain Executive, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar, How a Smart WMS Transforms 3PLs into Customer Service Powerhouses, where Karen Reese, Vice President of Eskimo Cold Storage, and Kevin McKay, Solutions Architect at Datex, will explore how advanced inventory logic minimizes waste, and how real-time visibility gives clients actionable insights for smarter decisions. So let's first meet our panelists super quick. With over 4 decades of industry experience, Karen began her career in 1980 and alongside her partner has developed and managed multiple warehouse facilities. Since its founding in 2007, Eskimo Cold Storage has continued to expand, most recently opening a new facility in December of 2024. Kevin maintains over 15 years of experience in the supply chain and warehouse management industry. He specializes in helping organizations leverage WMS software to make smarter, data-driven operational decisions. Just a reminder to the audience to submit your questions via the Q&A console anytime throughout our presentation. And don't forget to check out our downloadable assets on the main portal page, including links to our awards nominations, including our Rockstars of the Supply Chain Award, and more information about next week's Women in Supply Chain Forum. And so with that, Karen and Kevin, welcome to the program. Let's get started here, why don't we?
Thanks for having us.
Of course. So we're going to kick this off with a poll. So the people that have logged in, I hope you've refreshed from your lunch or your snack or wherever you are in the United States to get started on our poll here. What is the biggest compliance challenge your organization faces today? Is it maintaining real-time temperature and condition monitoring? Is it managing traceability and recall readiness? Meeting those evolving FTA, SMA, FSMA, or customer audit requirements, and keeping manual records and processes error-free? I mean, I'm not as much of an expert as both of you, but knowing what is coming around the corner in the new year with FSMA, do you have any projections super quick on what this may look like?
Well, for me, you never know what Washington's going to do and what they're going to change. And we just have to be able to be flexible and change to meet those requirements. And, Datex helps us do that very, very well.
Perfect. So I think we are ready to see the responses. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to submit your poll response. Okay, so look at that. As I was kind of hinting at with FSMA coming around the corner in the new year, 66.7% are challenged with meeting those customer audit requirements. I mean, I don't know, Kevin, is that a surprise to you before we jump forward? Is that on par?
No, definitely not. I think that's what I was expecting for sure. I mean, we've all kind of got to roll with it. We never know, like Karen said, what kind of changes are going to be coming down the pipe for us. So while this looks to be like a fixed thing, who knows how long it'll operate in its current state and how all the compliance is going to work out for us. So that's really where Datex is coming in to help our customers to make sure that we can adapt quickly if anything unexpected comes down the pipe.
So let's keep going on the food safety trend here. For Karen, food safety and compliance, that's the heart of your business. Can you share why this is such a critical priority for Eskimo Cold Storage and what's at stake if the standards aren't met?
Sure. Well, I guess the biggest thing what's at stake is I lose my company. And so that's the biggest thing. Well, I guess that's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is the consumer and the what if. What if we don't handle the product properly and the temperatures aren't kept and met? Any failure could be catastrophic, and that's public health. So maintaining the temperature throughout the cycle, no matter what it might be, if it comes in for cooler, if it comes in frozen, if we need to blast it, all the different things we have to do to it. So like any failure could be catastrophic for sure.
So Kevin, let's go to you. What makes Datex Footprint WMS system especially valuable for companies in cold storage when it comes to compliance and food safety?
Yeah, so our history at Datex and really kind of the backbone of the application and where we really cut our teeth in the industry is in cold storage, especially around food, partners and 3PLs. So this is a system that has not been adapted for cold storage. It's really at the heart of the application. And when you build the application and its components, to the most rigorous level, right, that we can still support, all industries and all things, but as it relates to food safety, the traceability, the accountability there, the ease of operation for our customers, for them to be able to quickly and insightfully take a look at their inventory, have that traceability in the event of a recall or potential issue, be able to investigate that without having to run a million reports and compile data, right? Or pull out a 3-ring binder that outlines a 30-step process, right? This is intended to be quick and easy to protect the consumer and the business.
So with that being said, Karen, let's go to you. How were you managing compliance and traceability before Datex, and kind of what made you decide to look for that new solution?
Well, so there's a little bit of background in order to let you know how I got to Datex. So in a couple of previous lives, I had worked with a programmer, and both of the different programmers had told me my middle name was Want. I want it to do this. I want it to do that. I want. And they were great. They were fabulous programs. And then the company that bought us at one point, they changed us to a different platform that took us back in time like 10 years. And I was on a team. They were very much, committee oriented. And I was on a team, and we looked at, different programs, and I didn't like anything I had seen. And then we decided we would open Eskimo. So it was natural for me to hire another programmer. I sat with him. It was great until it wasn't great. And a very nice man named Nick from Datex called me and welcomed me to the IARW, which is now known as the GCCA. And I always answer my phone. And and I said, well, I'm not new to the IARW, Eskimo is. And so I said, I'm sorry, but I'm really in computer hell right now. I don't have time to talk. He said, okay, I'll call you back in a couple of weeks. So we continued down the path, and this programmer, it was terrible. Like, I might get in 1,000 cases, and the next morning there was 3,000 cases in that lot. It was just insane. So then the nice man named Nick called me back 2 weeks later, and he said, so how's it going? And I said, well, I'm in worse computer hell than I was 2 weeks ago. And I'd reverted to doing it on Excel because, I learned to do, cold storage by hand. Way back in the day, there was no such thing as computers. And so we just, we were doing it in Excel, so it was terrible. So Nick said, I think Datex can help you. And, at that minute, my ears perked up because I'm like, I'm dying. I'm going to lose the company before we really get it up and going. And, I couldn't bill my customers. The customers were like, hey, I sent you 1,000 cases. Now you have 3,000. And it was just a total nightmare. So I compiled probably 200 questions, and then, we met, and they answered all my questions in the manner that I wanted them answered because I'd done it before and I knew what I wanted the program to do. And this is the part Datex hates, so just know they hate it. So they said, if you'll give me one person to work with and one person only, I think we can turn you around in 45 days. And they did. So it was great, and they were able to go back and pull things from the terrible system. So that's kind of how I got to Datex. I'd looked at the others on the committee that I was on in a former life, and Datex answered and checked all my boxes that I'd previously done with programmers. So that's how I got there.
I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. So I think we are going to go right into another poll question. So everybody get ready. How does your warehouse currently manage food safety and compliance? And this kind of goes back to Karen's story about like how things start and how we evolve and go through all of this, primarily manual processes, which, God love old school spreadsheets. Basic WMS with limited compliance tracking, fully integrated WMS with real-time monitoring, and a combination of multiple disconnected systems. And if I had to put money on it, I don't know what you guys would choose, but I'm going to say that people are doing a combination of a lot of things, because from what we hear from some of our readers and some of the folks that we interview is they're trying all kinds of different things. They don't know where to start. They don't fully understand the technology. They just know that they have to go more automated. You know, I'm not sure where we sit with that, but Kevin, what are your thoughts? You were kind of shaking your head.
Yeah, no, I think you're really spot on there, right? So coming from the where I'm at now on the WMS supplier side thing, right? As the solutions architect, I did implementations before this. I mean, that's exactly what we see when we come in to offer our solution to somebody, right? Once we've been, selected or as part of the analysis process, we're coming in and we're finding that and uncovering a combination of processes. They have a system they've been on for a long time or is home built, but it doesn't do everything. So they've augmented it with a manual process or a combination of manual processes and little cones and colored stickers and Excel sheets and everything under the sun that if somebody were to win the lottery and not come back to work tomorrow, the business would really be a tough way to operate, because that's all tribal knowledge.
Yeah. And it's just a lot of piecemealing, putting together when you don't have that tribal knowledge. Let's kind of see where we sit here with these results, to see if we were kind of spot on here. Well, okay, so half and half. Half are kind of doing a lot of different things, and half are still living in the stage before Datex enters your world of primarily manual processes. And that's pretty interesting, but I also think it's indicative of where the food industry is. And, a lot of that tribal knowledge, a lot of those folks, they rely on the tried and true processes of this is how it's always been done. This is how it will always be. So that's good information to know, to kind of keep going with this. Kevin, what makes the Datex warehouse management system different when it comes to handling cold storage requirements like FSMA compliance, or even some of this continuous temperature monitoring we keep talking about?
Yeah, so kind of one of the ingredients in our special sauce is it's a workflow driven application, right? So it's cloud based, and that's not to say that we have to come in and customize it. We're able to tailor these things, right? So think about like Legos or building blocks. Now, while FSMA as a whole, right, is sort of standard, everybody's specific implementation of it and their own business practices around that, now to be compliant with it, it's always a little different, right? A little flavor of this, a little flavor of that. In the application, we're able to tailor that, right? And our tagline is engineered for easy, right? And we truly mean that. We stand by that. Is as part of being a yes WMS, when someone like Karen comes and they want something, we're able to say yes, and we're able to do that easier, right? So easy on the development side through the low code application platform, easier on the client side as far as implementing and enforcing those business practices that they've adapted to be compliant. So that the workflows are a tool that we have. Again, going back to the application was really built for cold storage, not adapted for it. So out of the box, it comes with a really fully comprehensive audit trail. So when we're talking about being compliant and be able to show that record and that full end-to-end from supplier to consumer traceability, it's there. We don't have to turn things on. It's just going to work that way for everybody. And then with being cloud-based and having the Datex Studio platform that we have, integrations become very, very simple to go with. So we are able to integrate with existing equipment, whether it's material handling equipment, whether it's imaging equipment, whether it's different scanners, so that we can optimize the business, capture additional data, whether that's temp sensors, any sort of disparate systems, to kind of be able to serve all that data, whether we're pushing data out for somebody to be able to consume in a data lake or a data warehouse. They can compare it with their other information, or pull information in from other data sources so that you can get a single control tower view of all of your piece of information you're going to need to be compliant.
So to kind of piggyback on that, Karen, can you provide an example of how the WMS has helped you proactively prevent a compliance issue or even respond quickly to a client need?
Sure. So it happened just recently. One of our customer produces for a major fast food restaurant. So I'm sure that Kevin's eaten there. You may have eaten there. It's really a nationwide company, and they had a surprise audit come into their facility, and that auditor was like, "Well, I want to see the history of," and it actually being 78 different lot numbers, which was a huge amount of product, and their auditor gave them X amount of time. And of course, they were freaking out. And so they called us and said, "Can you help us?" And we were able to give them everything they needed, where the product, when it came in, what the temperatures were, where it shipped to, how much I still had in my inventory, if any. And we did that in 15 minutes with Datex.
Wow, that's amazing. So, Kevin, traceability and recall management, they're often big pain points in the food space. How does your platform give operators like Eskimo the visibility and speed they need in these situations? Kind of going off of what her example was.
Yeah, so I think Karen really outlined the process. And as I was indicating earlier, the application is built with traceability in mind from the jump. So that traceability, it's native, it's built in, it's happening behind the scenes, right? There's no additional real steps the users have to do, right? Just by following their process, the system is capturing that traceability. So that means we have all the data points. So we've built some reports, right, directly into the application that allow you to go in and run, and get a true sense for something. So do I look by material? Am I looking for a specific lot? Okay, now that I'm in this lot, how many times did it come into my building? Where did it go? Who did it go to? Do I have anything left? Automatically set the status of that so that it can't be picked or go on any new orders to potentially expand the scope of potentially impacted shipments. It's all built in. So it's great to hear Karen's story that we were able to help there. But for us, it's a real core competency.
So then beyond compliance, Karen, what improvements have you seen in efficiency, such as reducing waste, managing perishable goods, or even improving client confidence?
Yeah, sure. So with our facility, we have a cooler, and of course, then we have the freezer. So for instance, the system can say, "I'm X amount days old," and then you can relay back to your customer and say, "Hey, your product is it's not going to expire. It's not, anything's going to happen to it." And then they will be able to say, "Well, move it over to the freezer." So you stop, you stop what may have been going to happen. And then a lot of my customers end up donating that product. So, it's a good thing for us and for food waste that it's not going to waste. And, the system also will allow the customers to do whatever they need to do. If they want to do FIFO, if they want to do first manufacturer, first out, if they want to do it by expiry date, it has strategies so that you can pull full pallets and then get your pieces later. And I think for me, one of the most impressive things that the system can do, and Kevin, I may or may not explain it correctly, but it's days remaining. So say for instance, you have product that it is fresh product, cooler product, and it's going to California. Well, it needs 7-day shelf life. So it may say, "Well, I've got to ship a newer product because I need to add time to get it to California in the 3 days." But the product going to Atlanta, it's only going to take 2 or 3 hours. So it can decide by where it's going how many days remaining it needs. And so that was amazing. I don't even think that a human in my facility would do it correctly, just because it's a lot of thinking.
Yeah, and that's a technology we built into the application. We're sort of dubbing that our AWIs, or our advanced workflow interface. And, the industry has changed, and we've listened to our customers and the challenge that they're facing. And what we started to see was a lot of the same requests coming over and over, right? So it's food production. So while a full pallet is a full pallet, we know what that is. Generally what we see is, well, the last pallet that's coming in isn't always full, right? There's only, so much they process, so they get partials. Karen's, example about the days remaining piece of it. Different customers, whether that's geographically or by account. When I ship to Walmart, I need X number of days, but Target will accept a different number of days. So while I might want to ship in FIFO, right, there are other priorities or other business requirements that might get in the way of that. So through this workflow that's entirely user configurable, which is super powerful, they're able to now design, right, just by clicking through buttons on a UI, that behavior in the background to really dial in the allocation workflow at a number of different levels. So you can say, well, I need days remaining, right? So with X number of days, and I want to prioritize full pallets so that I'm not going to a partial to then go and pull from another full pallet to make my full again. Well, just leave the partial behind as long as I'm only X number of days out of rotation. I can leave that partial there for a partial order or a layer pick or something like that. So these are all things that the allocation workflow is taken into consideration to, one, reduce spoilage, reduce any thing from expiring that shouldn't, to be compliant to your customers' demands on their days remaining piece, while also reducing your labor costs. So super powerful feature we've got in the product, and it's all been driven from feedback from our customers and the I want it to do this, and we're able to answer the bell there.
And so to kind of keep going with that, integration, that part of it usually is often overlooked. So how does the WMS connect with things like sensors and ERPs or even e-commerce platforms to create kind of that seamless compliance and operations ecosystem?
Yeah, so like I indicated, we have this sort of supply chain software lasagna with these different layers of technology stacked on top of each other. So you've got your end application, the mobile application, that's sitting on top of what we call the Datex Manager and Datex Studio, which is sitting on top of our core platform. Now, in that Manager Studio layer, we're able to very quickly build custom integration apps that are leveraging the OData API. It's the same API that's actually enabling those end user applications to come back and communicate with the database. So we're able to integrate, right, very quickly over this API, whether we need to modify our syntax to consume or acknowledge the external applications, or if that external application or the partner on the integration side wants to consume our standard, right, that becomes a very quick matter of just publishing this application, creating it keys, and figuring out which commands it's going to do. So as long as it's capable of sending and receiving a message electronically, I'm confident sitting here that we'd be able to integrate with it. So like you said, that's material handling equipment, that's sensors, QuickBooks, SAP, all the above, right? So consuming orders, whether it's to our customers' ERP systems or order management systems, online shopping carts, which we're seeing kind of push their way into the cold storage food space with more case picks, bundles, any of these bespoke subscription services and things like this. It's all challenges we're all facing, and just like workflows, we're kind of stepping up and answering the bell, understanding how important of a challenge it is for the industry.
So kind of walk us through how the Eskimo Datex partnership works in practice. Like, what does successful collaboration between an operator and a technology provider look like? Kevin, maybe let's start with you here.
Sure. So the Datex, I'm sorry, I thought you said it. Never mind.
No.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Sure,
no problem. So for me, the Datex was a true partnership. They listened to our needs and what we need. And because we deal with a lot of fresh poultry, meaning freshly slaughtered, still weeping, it was what systems do you need to put in place? And it won't allow the user to go forward until it answers certain questions, like what is the temperature when it arrives? And is it going to trigger a blast freezing charge? And then with that, if it's going to put it in the blast, then it needs a slat insertion, it needs a slat removal. And then there's certain words that we can put into even the outbounds in the comment section so that it will trigger billing on certain things, and there's no human intervention, so I'm not losing anything. So they've listened to, like, if I said, hey, I can't seem to get my folks to do this, they're like, oh, well, we can help with that. So they put it in and they can't go forward until it is completed. So it's been great to be a partner, and they do listen. And, like I said, my middle name is want. I want it to do this. I want it to do that.
Yeah, and I think partnership's the key word in this question to me, right? This is, as a company, we're family owned. The family really pushes on, making sure the customers, front and focused of what we're doing here. And because we're, a smaller mid-sized provider, we're able to really kind of dig in and offer a true white glove experience. Once you're implemented with Datex, this is not like wash your hands and go away. All the accounts are given, customer success managers that they have periodic communications with regularly. Whether it's Karen or Nick, I know they're involved, and we engage back and forth. We want to be here to solve solutions and problems and really provide a value add. Acquiring a WMS is an expensive proposition. Keeping a WMS is, a cost for the business. It's a necessary one, but we want to make sure that, our customers are not just looking at it like we're a vendor. We really truly want to be a partner, and that we are providing more back in the value proposition. So that's the listening through user groups, through our user conferences, making sure that we are an open forum to produce and voice feedback up. And because of the industry, we all share a lot of the same challenges. If Karen's experiencing it, I know that somebody else, in another facility has a similar issue. So we'll take a lot of that feedback, figure out how to make it kind of, solution agnostic to where it can be a good part of the core. And then we just got to tweak a little thing here or there. So, like Karen said, the billing, very, very robust billing platform, understanding that, jotting something down on a job jacket when the truck that's going to go out the door might get forgotten, right? And where's that job jacket going for somebody to log a charge to make sure somebody gets billed? We want to make sure that's all happening, that we're cutting out any kind of revenue leakage, to making sure that, people are getting paid for the services they're providing and the value that they're adding.
So we have one more poll. Looks like our final poll for the session, and for those who logged on maybe a little bit after the start time, if you have questions for our panelists, please get those into the Q&A console anytime. So what is your top automation priority for 2026? Temperature and equipment monitoring, predictive labor and scheduling, traceability and recall management, inventory rotation and waste reduction, and other, which is where you can go back to that Q&A console and manually type it in. But I think these are some pretty cool things for people to kind of prioritize for 2026 based off of all the things that we talked about. But if you had to make a hunch, what would be what you think the winner, I guess?
For me, what we're seeing, we've actually done a few partnerships with this, would be around predictive labor and scheduling. I know a lot of folks that I'm talking to, and a lot of what we're getting is there's been a real pinch in the labor market. So hiring and retaining and kind of understanding that balance of labor and, versus the work that's coming in is a big priority. But these are all good ones. So I'm very, very intrigued to see what the responses are.
Same. Karen, did you have any questions before we see the results?
So I really couldn't hear you on that one, but I'm sure that you're just and I agree with Kevin, the predictive labor and the scheduling, so that what you have, say for instance, how many loads you have going out and what kind of loads is it? Is it just a domestic load? Is it export? Does it have to have a secondary label? All those things that would help with predicting the labor. If it's all domestic and pallet in, pallet out, well, you don't need a lot of labor. But if it's an export, it takes more labor. So that would be what we're looking for in 2026.
Perfect. Hopefully you can hear me better now. It's very windy outside where I live. Let's keep going. Perfect. And Kevin gets the gold star for today. Predictive labor and scheduling wins. Not surprising.
Yeah.
And other also wins. For those that wrote other, it looks like we have things like organization of documents and accessorial billing. So all things automated behind the scenes for financial purposes. So looking ahead, what trends do you see shaping the future of food safety and compliance in cold storage, and how are you preparing for that? Karen, let's start with you.
Gosh, I've been doing it so long, the trends change. And like I said, Washington does different things to you. I think that you have to be, you have to have your ear out constantly. You have to, say for instance, the GCCA, you have to be connected, and they're going to report what's happening in DC so that you can be prepared and you don't get, say, for instance, an OSHA visit and you didn't know that OSHA was now doing this or that. And, and for us, the future, and it's exciting because we've never had it in my 40 years, we've actually have a shuttle system, which is semi-automated. And the cool thing about that is it is talking with Datex, and if the guys don't do what they're supposed to do, it'll stop you and make you do it correctly. So, for us, that's exciting. That's something new. And of course, the food safety is always top priority for us, no matter what, because we are protecting that food that your families love.
Kevin, anything to add?
Yeah, I think what's inevitable, right, is the industry is going to keep being challenged to adapt and grow. Long gone are the days for most of my customers of, truckload in, truckload out, nice, clean, neat pallets, right? The demands and what's being asked for as far as value-added services and, extra burden on compliance down to the 3PL it's going to make us kind of stretch and strengthen our muscles a little bit about how we respond. And we are not shying away from that challenge. And one of the things we're really doing is leaning in fully to the automation, right? If you go to, ProMat or Modex, that's what you're seeing, right? Is the big showcases out there and with the industry is all the different automation tools and options out there. So we are fully leaning into that to be compliant. And then AI, right? It's AI is used for way more than creating funny images, right? Or stuff to trick you on social media. We've actually did a partnership to Karen's point about, helping predict our customers look forward to the orders they've got in the system that they have visibility to go and estimate, right, how many labor minutes are going to be required to pick that order, right? So they can look out in the aggregate and say, oh, wow, we're going to have a really busy week, right? This is what we think. I need to go ahead and start lining people up for overtime. I need to reschedule or shuffle some trucks because it goes back and looks at historical data for like shipments with like products or commodities or destinations by country, by supplier, by carriers, things like this, comes up with the average time it took to do those things historically, and then future forecast that's automatically the amount of time somebody would spend, a person trying to go and figure all that stuff out. With these AI tools and these large language models, it's really so powerful. You can use these prompts and get it. We can train it to automatically do that and apply those times and incorporate that data directly into the app. So I really see more of a reliance on data insights as the future.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to revert now to questions from the audience. So now is the time to our wonderful audience. If you have questions or something you wanted them to kind of go over again, or just anything to add to the conversation, please get that into the Q&A console on your screen at any time. So let's start with how are you using data and visibility to strengthen collaboration with your clients? And do they have access to real-time insights, and how has that changed the relationship?
Yeah, that for us, that we do have the portal that not any customer, but you have to be set up, a customer can go into, and they can look at their inventory. They can see the moves. They can see what their upcoming trucks, what they have going out, because a lot of times customers say, well, it's going to go out. I just don't know when. And then for us, a truck line is going to call, schedule the appointment, and it allows them to be able to see where it's going and things of that nature. And so that's worked out very, very well because people are in different time zones. We have customers on the West Coast, and, there's a good chance there's not going to be a customer service rep here at, their 5 o'clock. And if there's something they need, they can go in and they can look at it. They can print their inventory. So they know in real time. And, with the Datex system, if you make a scan, it automatically is seen in your inventory. So it's so real time. We don't even have to close the shipment, don't have to have the full 20 pallets on the dock. As we scan one, it's going in and the customer can actually see that.
What kind of feedback have you received from your customers since implementing the WMS? And has this improved their confidence and satisfaction with Eskimo's service?
Well, if you were here in the beginning and you heard all my computer hell, then yes, it has restored their confidence. But aside from that, we're 18 years in, and I'm now having, well, I have a new customer that's going to be here in the next week, and his question was, "What WMS do you use?" And I said, "Well, we use Datex," and he said, "Oh, that's great. We're familiar with Datex. We know what they do. We know what they can do, and they're very excited about Datex and how it can, help them with their business." So it's been really good for me. And like I said, I've been 18 years in, and I haven't been unhappy so far.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Kevin and Karen, for your time today. Thank you to our wonderful audience, especially for your participation in our polls and for being a part of our program today. An archived version of today's presentation will be posted at foodlogistics.com, or you can access the on-demand version from the registration link that you used to log in today. Again, my name is Marina Mayer, Editor-in-Chief of Food Logistics and Supply and Demand Chain Executive, and I hope to see you again at our next webinar.